Well, good morning. Welcome back. Always good to be with you guys, and we appreciate your time. It's good to be back with you, Matt. And
Great to see you.
you too. What happened over the weekend? A little fight? Or?
Oh, I've had some great stories today with that. You know, whether it's down at
I'm not going to touch it. I'm just pointing out for everybody the
Heinz,
Shiner.
or should I say Acrisure
Acrisure
Stadium?
Stadium.
With down
bottle
there, I was
flying.
saving a grandma who's crossing the street, going to get her
Yeah, right.
purse stolen.
Here's the reality. Little kids, right?
I got scratched. Then I scratched it with a razor, and that's about as cool as the story that I have.
Little kids can get pretty close to eyes and do some damage. So as persistent as little kids are when they want something, we learn from them, right? As parents, we learn from our children and all the things they do. And, Matt's at it now with two little ones. He's already forgetting the ages of his kids because I asked him today. I said, how old's Lucy now? About 26 months. He's like, she's 2.5. She's almost 3. I said, no, she isn't. She just turned 2, right? So she's...
Oh, come on.
Yeah, 26 months. and I actually said Lucy, and he said, who? No, but Lucy, when she's at 26 months, when she wants something, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, she's persistent.
Yes, a lot of repetition.
She's consistent.
Yes.
Yeah. What can we learn from kids as salespeople? We can learn that persistency and consistency. They do things with unfailing faith, right? Little kids, they don't think anything can deter them. They think just because I heard no, 13 times in the past 2.5 minutes, the next time might be a yes, and that would make them great prospectors. But I think we can learn a lot from kids through their persistency and their consistency.
Yeah, and we always talk about the stats of how many touches it takes to get through to someone or get a meeting, and depending on what you look at, is it 10, is it 15, is it 20? It's more than 5, right? So let's just agree on that. So how many of us, stop there? Or, I think worse yet, we talk about a cadence and getting into a rhythm and a diversified prospecting approach, because we're talking about prospecting right now. How many of us carry the weight on our shoulders with each yes or a no? Mm-hmm. And, as I think about Lucy, she doesn't really care. She just unfazed, just asks, can I eat that again?
That's right.
And I'm sure, no, can I eat it again? So she'll say with a little bit different inflection. But, I think the goodness there is, you said that just very faithful in the process.
That's right.
So I think there's really multiple lessons here of how deep are we going to get to that 10, 15th touch, because many salespeople stop way before that. And also, are we just faithfully trusting the process and keeping the right mindset, with each call or each, some you can do door-to-door drop-ins or a handwritten note, whatever that looks like from a diversification standpoint in your industry. Do we just have that mental toughness to keep going? Not saying indifferent with the results, but just that head-down mentality that, we're just going to continue to do it. We've mentioned before, none of it matters, yet all of it matters.
That's right. And that's when you talk about diversification, that's what I think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Social selling, which has become very popular. And I think, unfortunately, for a lot of people, they think it's a cure-all. It's not. Posting on LinkedIn every day, or, boy, I hope it's not every day. And I hope it's not self-promoting. But when you post on social media and you do, if you are doing phone calls, are you doing networking? Are you doing anything in person? How do you work that network? All this stuff matters. As Matt said, none of it matters and all of it matters. It's just being there, showing up, being willing to prospect and engage with people, whether it's going to events now live and in person, right? Social events that we can turn into conversations. If it is having those shared social media posts, a little thing on that. Nobody is interested in the shameless self-promoter. And right now there's 2 people coming to mind. Right, but I know 2 people out there that it seems like every day on social media they're posting things always about themselves. It's very rarely, if ever, about the problems they're solving or highlighting their customers and their clients. It's not about highlighting others and sharing in their successes. It's just about, look at how great we are. I don't think that goes far. I don't find it attractive, and I don't think it actually moves the needle. So remember, when you are doing these things, if you are prospecting, if you're sharing any type of persistency and consistency on social media, make it about others, right? Everything we do needs to be about the other. Nobody's interested in what our shameless self-promotion looks like. So it's just a little tangent there. But how do we do it with the consistency? And we find people that, Matt references at 10, is at 15. If you listen to XM radio, there's a guy on there that bills himself as the world's greatest sales trainer. And he says that it takes 8.3 touches, I think, to reach somebody. And most sales reps quit after just one. Okay. I don't know where he gets that data. I don't know where it comes from, but let's just say his numbers are right. Let's say it's 8. When was the last time you reached out to somebody 8 times? For most of us, we fall down far before that.
And why do we fall down, though? Because I think that's important. And I usually see 2 reasons. Number one, we're not organized enough with the information or have that cadence written down or know what's going to happen next. So when it comes time to prospect, which is usually the thing that falls by the wayside when we get busy or we start having a pipeline and we're engaged with a lot of people. So we're not prepared to prospect or have the time management or systems in place. And I think secondarily, people lack that mental toughness to keep going and having that right mindset. And I led a sales panel, for a national conference, and there was this one gentleman that was up there, and it's an industry where you could stop in, you can drop in and see people. It's not necessarily door to door, but some of the decision makers are more accessible. And he was talking about how 40% of his business, and he's had a great year, high top performer, President's Club, and he would just say, well, I would go and I would wait for them. Now, by many people's standards, it's a little stalkerish or restraining orders, and I know it was making some people
who I'm thinking of right now when you say stalker.
Yes, uncomfortable in the crowd, but it wasn't phasing him. So I'm asking him questions, and he said, "Well, I would go to the lobby because if they're not going to answer, tell me no. That's fine. They eventually have to go to lunch, and."
I love this.
I was even amazed, and you could hear like the grumblings in the crowd of like, "Holy smokes!" And so I stepped back and I just said, "Okay, that's probably too much for a lot of people in this room. But what if we had some of that mental toughness and was just 20% as mentally tough as this individual up here? If he's on the extreme, which we may or may not agree with, so be it." But he wasn't fazed. He just kept going. I'm going to get people that say yes to me. I'm not as bad as the no's I get, and I'm not as good as the yes that I get. This is my process. I know that it works, and so I just have to keep my head down and do it. So, long-winded, but I thought there was brilliance in that, of just that mentality that he had.
And when you talk about why people quit, you said the first thing is might not have the systems and processes in place to allow us to be persistent. The second is that self-doubt. How easy would it be for us to have that self-doubt creep in and say, oh, man, maybe I need a new voicemail script, or, oh, maybe I need a new call script if they actually pick up. Because I think for many of us, when we're prospecting, that's like the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah. Or we need a new list. Let's go do some more research.
The leads are tired, right? And so the leads are weak. The leads aren't weak, you're weak, to quote one of my favorite lines from Glenn Ross. But no, I think that's that failure to believe in the process, that failure to believe that the message is right, that the value is right, that what we do actually helps people to see ourselves with that confidence. Like you said about your individual on the panel, he said, I'm not as bad as the no's, I'm not as good as the yeses. It's like, for us, it's like, if everybody could wake up and know that, how much better would our lives be? Not only how much better prospectors would we be, but how much better would we be as people? How much greater fulfillment would we have? We live in this world of likes. And do they like my message? Do they like my post on Facebook? My father-in-law, God rest his soul, he just passed and left us 6 months ago, not even 3 months ago. And he used to always joke whenever somebody would take a picture of him and put him on Facebook. He'd say, "How many likes we have?" Right? And he was 82. He was joking. It didn't really move him, but it was that little dopamine feed. I think we live our lives in a world where we're judged by that instantaneous feedback of likes. So if we leave a message for somebody and they don't call us back, like, oh, they don't want to work with us. Or we send a note and we don't get the feedback, they don't want to work with us. No, do it again. People have busy lives. Things get in the way. I always say, this little thing called life gets in the way sometimes of business or returning phone calls and doing these things. We have to have confidence in that what we're doing is value. We have to have confidence in what we're providing feels like help. And we have to have confidence if we're reviewing it and we're being intentional that our brand and our message is right and can help people.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that I wanted to add to that, you said that they didn't want to work with us or the message is broken. I see a lot of salespeople go back to that. The messaging must be broken without a big sample size, right? We called 2 people and got 2 voicemails and we're ready to go back to the drawing board.
Nobody called me back
right?
the past 12
minutes.
So,
one thing that I talk about are 2 things when it comes down to prospecting, and I do want to jump into why we're discussing it now in this time of year. But I go to effort and effectiveness. Those are the 2 measurements in prospecting. Effort being, are we doing enough activities? Because there's a certain level of activities that we need to do to give ourselves an opportunity. And then on the back end of that, if we feel like we are hitting the right amount and giving the proper amount of effort, we can always reflect and take a look at the messaging and are we being as effective as we could be? But let's start by doing it, right? And getting a sample size, allowing the work to drive and correct and evolve our messaging. And okay.
Oh no, I was going to say with that, it's not just from a prospecting, but it's all communication. Remembering that branding. We talked a little bit about messaging and branding, but I can't tell you how many times I've ended up on the phone with somebody who's left me multiple voicemails, right, or sent me multiple emails, and they're very persistent and consistent over long periods of time. Because oftentimes, if somebody's prospecting me, even if I'm not that interested in what they want, I want to prolong the cycle so I could see what they do. And it might be somebody that I am interested in, but I still want to prolong the cycle so I see how they handle things, see how they might handle the adversity of not talking to us, not getting the call back, whatever it might be. And it's amazing how many times I've ended up on the phone with somebody or with somebody who, even though it's the first time you're meeting them or first time you're talking to them, you feel like you have a connection. You feel like you know them because they took the prospecting role so professionally. They left great messages. They never became whiny. They never said, "Well, I've left you 12 messages and you've never called me back."
Or forwarded you the email that you haven't responded, the chain of like 13 emails.
That's right.
That's one thing that I love
Drives
to
me
get.
nuts. Yeah. Now, I am okay if somebody sends me that message, forwards me a message they sent to me, or forwards a message they had sent to me and asked me of something and I haven't replied to. If they delicately say to me, "Hey, Bill, just moving this back to the top of your inbox for your careful review."
You're nicer than I am because I don't like it at all. You're not going to try to prospect with me and show me not responding.
I don't hate that as much.
Half the time it's our system flagging it and catching it and all that stuff. And it's not me willingly or actively doing that.
Right. But, when you do get on the phone with these individuals that do it professionally and do it well, they already have your respect when you get on the phone with them and you already feel connected to them. So that's a takeaway, right? Knowing that you can be that individual. So we like to always say when we're leaving voicemails and we're communicating, when we're posting on social, when we're sending emails, whatever it might be, it's branding. It's not that call that flips the switch. It's not that post that flips the switch. It's the body of work. So, again, kissing cousins or voicemails and emails, they always go out together if you are prospecting. So you leave a voicemail, send an email as a follow-up. "Hey, Matt, left a voicemail for you today. Thought an email might be easier for you to respond to. Want to discuss blank," right? And you throw that out and give people options. You're serving them because you're letting them know you might want to call me back. You might want to respond to the email, but we're giving them options. Thinking ahead, creating a service mentality, letting them know if I'm easy to work with when I'm prospecting with you, The unconscious message is I'll be real easy to work with when I become a client, or you'll be real easy to work with when I become a client. So think of that. Remember the branding, remember the message. It's not to beat up on somebody. Nobody owes you a call back. You have to earn it. Nobody owes you feedback back from a voicemail or an email. You have to earn it. So until you've earned it, don't punish them. Until you've earned it, don't blame them. Don't become accusatory. Sorry.
No, I really like that. That's one of the first times I've heard that, so I'm going to steal that, and probably you'll hear it in coaching calls tomorrow. But one of the things I wanted to just quickly discuss is why are we talking about this now? Yes, these are common themes, things that we continue to reiterate, but I believe we have a trap game coming up in sports. A trap game.
Trap game. I like that.
A trap game is, when you're playing an opponent that probably is playing a better opponent that next week. They're thinking ahead. Their eyes are ahead. So where are we in the year? We're coming to the trap part of the year. I would consider. We have the holidays coming up. Oh, no one's going to answer. We're picking pumpkins and cutting down trees and then baking cookies. That's the trap that's coming up. No one's going to be in the office, so we shouldn't call, or it's not a great time to call. Yeah, there's goodness in doing some intentional things in downtime. Yeah, no.
I'm going to work my 23 plan. I'm going to spend 2 months focusing on my 23 plan.
There's goodness because there is downtime, but don't fall to the trap of the time of year that we're coming up to. Let's still be consistent. Let's still be persistent. If less people answer, who cares? That gives you an opportunity. I know when I get called around the holidays and it's a little less busy, I probably give people more time, or I'm willing to share more information, or I'm in a better mood.
You're happier. It's like
I'm
Friday
going to
afternoon.
a Christmas party that night, right?
That's right.
And we all know that I'm Clark Griswold, so I'm really, really excited around Christmas time.
Expect to see more of the flannel out of Matt as we go forward.
Crazy flannels, but we're coming up to the trap time of the year, so just be mindful of that. Stay consistent.
And what you talk about in that trap time of year is really head trash. It's our mindset. So if every time I pick up the phone, I say nobody's going to pick up, here's what my energy level is going to be like. Or every time I pick up the phone, I say, well, they're not going to want to talk to me because it's the end of the year. What do you think I'm going to sound like? What do you think I'm going to say? If I'm going to engagements, if I'm going out in public, and my mindset is it's not the right time of year to engage or build relationship, how do you think that's going to go? Not well. So flip the mindset to be, I don't need to sell something today. By the way, if you find yourself needing to sell something today, it's because you failed to do something earlier in the year. Take ownership for that. Don't blame everybody else. Don't blame the economy. Don't blame the competition. Don't blame your company. Blame your effort. Own it, right? Let's have great responsibility. Let's make that something we're willing to carry into the new year as a resolution. But if you have had a tough year, you can fix it today. You can fix it, not tomorrow. You can fix it today. Saddest day in the history of the human race was when?
When we create tomorrow.
Yeah, when man learned the meaning of the word tomorrow. Because now all of a sudden, everything doesn't have to be done today. It drives me nuts. Let's have a sense of urgency and say, I want to fix it today. If we spend the next, 60 days roughly.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, if I had to guess, we probably have 40 selling days left in the year. 45 selling days, something like that. If we spent these last 40 selling days of this year focused on having great encounters, great conversations that drive things forward, I don't know if it's going to save Q4 for you, but it's sure going to set up a great Q1 or great Q2. And that's the work we always need to be doing is we don't solve Q2 problems in Q2. We solve them today. Set ourselves up for greatness, right? Be persistent, be consistent. Let's learn from Lucy. Let's learn from all the little kids in our lives that are not deterred by no. They're not deterred by asking questions that don't have successful outcomes for them. We want to be the same way. We want to have that hopeful optimism they have that someday I'm going to get a yes. When I go through this enough and I'm consistent with it and I'm looking to serve the other and I'm always thinking about what the outcome is and I'm focused on my goals, I'm going to get the great outcomes. I'm going to get to those yeses. I'm going to build some relationship. And this is, as Matt said, this is a great time of year to be focused on that. So that's our challenge this week, right? How can we be more persistent and consistent with everything we do as we intentionally strive to serve others and build relationship. I know you guys can do it. I know you can turn this mindset into something positive and know that you want to have great outcomes. Why? Because we control it. Doesn't matter what bad things happening in our lives right now. Everybody has a story. Everybody has something bad going on. But the day you decide you want to own it, the day you decide you're not going to be a victim to it, and the day you decide that I'm going to focus on what I can control today, just on what I can control, and not worry about the things I can't control, is the day we can start turning things around to the positive and actually will ourselves to have some success. So let's go do that. Thank you all so much for being with us. Take care and God bless.